What's happening, internet fam? It is December, I don't know what the date is today. It's a Monday, I know that, because I'm playing at First Street down in Encinitas again today. And I'm driving on my way to the show now. I'm driving very safely. I have my cell phone device and a hands-free setup, so I can have both of my hands on the steering wheel. It is an exercise in extreme frustration trying to book visitation of my two children. It's crazy. I booked visitation down here in California a number of times, and now I've been trying to book visitation in Hawaii a number of times, and they just either don't get back to you or are insanely racist in one case. Will just deny you visitation even if after you've paid all the fees and everything. It's literally insane how difficult it is to book visitation of your own children once you have a restraining order against you and require a supervisor to do so. And very expensive as well. Here in California, it's $60 an hour to schedule visitation. In Hawaii, apparently it's much cheaper. However, I've called now. There's only one visitation service in Hawaii. I've called them, I don't know, 10 or 11 times, and I've talked to them, I think, twice. Both of which times it was basically like they'll get back to me scenario, and they never got back to me. And so now I leave message after message after message after message. I have a ticket to go to Hawaii, so I'm going to be going to Hawaii one way or the other to try and get visitation of my two children, Everett and Grace, who have suffered so miserably, not being able to see their dad, not understanding why they can't see their dad, being told horrible lies about their father as well, or at least they were back in the day. I don't know, recently I haven't heard too much on that front, but you know, I only get my 15-minute video chats. They're supposed to be 20-minute video chats, but I've only actually had one of the video chats in the last, I don't know, 4 months go longer than 15 minutes. So, you know, or no, a couple of them went 18 minutes, but they never, only one of them has gone over 20 minutes. All the other ones have been much shorter than the court-ordered video chat time. So, and it's tough, you know. I mean, the connection's usually bad. It's Skype. I've tried to get them on, you know, Discord, Google Hangouts, literally any other platform that's better than Skype, because Skype is a total garbage show at this point. You know, it got bought by Microsoft, and of course now it sucks. Just like anything that gets bought by Microsoft, eventually it starts sucking real hard. And Skype is no exception. Skype is one of the worst video chats there is at this point. Google Hangouts is better. Discord has a better video chat option. There's a bunch of different ways to video chat now, and Skype is definitely the worst one that I've used in the last 5 years. But it's not up to me, is it? And so I'm forced to use Skype, and the connection's bad, the audio's bad, and the kids get frustrated, and I get frustrated, and then the call gets hung up on long before I'm done. So I don't really know at this point, you know, what on earth I could do differently than I'm doing. I just, you know, I keep trying to schedule visitation. I keep trying to schedule stuff at the courthouse. They keep telling me that it's, you know, that I'm filing the wrong thing, or it's the wrong paperwork, or that there's, I mean, literally there's nothing anybody can do for me. Nobody cares. The court system doesn't care. The lawyers certainly don't care. The people who are supposed to care about the kids and put the kids' best interest first, you know, whether that's the family law people or the mediators, none of them actually care at all. And you can say, hey, I haven't seen my kids in 6 months. I haven't been allowed to see my kids in 6 months. I keep getting hung up on. I'm not, you know, getting even the full video chats that I'm supposed to be getting. Nobody cares. Absolutely nobody cares. And, you know, which shouldn't surprise you. Almost, you know, nobody does care about anything in this life unless it directly affects them and their bottom line. And so that's the situation, you know, that as soon as you have a restraining order against you, which, you know, will be handed out summarily for virtually no reason whatsoever. My restraining order is because I said something derogatory about the other party online, which, you know, never mind what I said was true, never mind that I'd already been alienated from my children for, you know, the better part of a year. You know, none of those were factors. The fact that I said something derogatory about them online, that was enough for me to get a restraining order for my own children for 5 years. So that's where I'm at right now. And that's why I have to hire a supervisor to watch me hang out with my own children, which is totally insane. Of course, I have no criminal record, no history of violence, any kind of malfeasance whatsoever, really, against anybody. I mean, I even have a perfect driving record, pretty much perfect driving record. So, and yet now I am at the behest of these third parties who, by and large, either won't call you back or will just cancel on you for no reason, or in the case of the place that I went to in Vista, I wrote a lengthy tirade about on Google, just were insanely racist. The woman was so unbelievably rude to me in front of me in Espanol, which she thought I didn't speak Spanish. And my speaking is not great, but my understanding when I hear other people speak is pretty good. You know, I've been living in San Diego for a long time, and I actually lived in Mexico for a few months way back in the day. So, I mean, you know, my Spanish is, I understand quite a bit, even though I don't speak that well. And so she was just like literally talking badly about me to one of her coworkers on the phone. And then when I called her out on it, you know, then of course I was unable to have visitation of my children at that facility either. So it's just like, I mean, and I know most industries now are full of people who don't care, don't want to work, would rather be playing on their phone or literally be doing anything besides work. It's epidemic. I mean, anybody who's gone into any place and tried to get service for any kind of business, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you're aware of it. Occasionally there'll be some like, you know, a little bit older, maybe a baby boomer or something, who actually will do something besides phone it in. But for the most part, it seems like everybody's just phoning it in and trying to collect a paycheck and go home, and they don't actually care about helping you with your situation or providing the service that you're paying for or anything. And that's certainly true in the supervised visitation industry. I mean, I've just had, you know, nightmare after nightmare with one after the other supervisors. You know, supervisors telling me about, literally telling me the exact opposite of what I knew, because I'd already read about health benefits for children when it comes to, you know, vitamin D, vegetables, fruit, exercise, anything. It's just like they'll tell you that it's not healthy for the kids just because it inconveniences them. You know, they don't want to, you know, if they don't want to hike, if they don't want to go on a hike, then you can't take the kids on a hike because their fat ass doesn't want to walk up a hill, basically. And it's like, literally the best thing you could do with your kids is go on a hike, you know, be out in nature, be breathing fresh air, and, you know, just doing something physically active. And, you know, but the supervised monitors, if they don't want to go on a hike, which by and large they don't, they want to sit there and play on their phone and pretend like they're paying attention, which in most cases they're not. It's just, it's absolutely nutty that my relationship with my children is now limited by these for-pay bureaucrats who don't care at all about me, my kids, anybody. It's very clear the judge did not care about me or my children or their well-being. Nobody has put the children's needs first once since this whole process started. You know, I really tried to. I really fought hard for them every step of the way. I'm still fighting hard for them every single day. You know, I call, I leave messages, I call, I leave messages, I call, I leave messages. I mean, literally every day I call. You know, I might have missed one day in the last 6 days or something. I mean, I almost call every single day and try to get something scheduled, try to get some forward motion, and just, you know, nobody answers the phone, nobody calls you back, nobody sends an email. I always leave my full phone number twice. I always leave my full email twice. Yeah, it's just, and meanwhile, you know, what I do have is the Skype video chats where the audio quality, the video quality are very poor, and I get hung up on before the 20 minutes is up, almost always. I mean, there's been, like I said, there's, I think, one Skype call in the last 6 months went the full 20 minutes. One call. And I have 3 a week, you know, which that's ludicrous anyway. I mean, now we're talking about, I get to talk to my kids 3 times a week for 20 minutes. That means their father is in their lives for less than an hour a week. Less than 1 hour a week. Less than 60 minutes a week. And And even that 60 minutes is being infringed upon illegally every single week, often 3 times a week. So it's crazy. This is the situation. And, you know, so now that I'm in it, you know, I've met so many people. It's like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't see my kids for 10 years and now they hate me. And it's like, this is our system. This is the system we live in, you know. It's incentivized to keep the kids away from one of the parents so that the other parent can maximize the child support. That's just very obvious, you know. If one parent has no visitation, then the other parent gets the maximum amount of child support. And so consequently, my situation is not at all unusual. There are plenty of single moms out there, and probably a few single dads too, out there who will alienate the children for money. That's very clear. It's very clear that's been happening to kids all over the country for decades now. And now it's happening to my kids. And it's so unfair, and it's so sad, and it's just so frustrating that I've been unable to stop this process at any point. I've been unable to, you know, communicate with the other side. It's now illegal for me to communicate with the other side. You know, despite, again, never having harmed anybody, done any kind of crime whatsoever. The only thing I did is talk bad about somebody who had already been hurting my kids for, you know, the better part of a year. So, just incredibly frustrating. I'm just, you know, putting this up online so that at some point Everett and Grace are going to know what I was up against, how hard I was fighting to get to see them. And maybe that'll help mitigate their hatred for me, which, you know, has been growing steadily. You know, when you're an alienated parent, it's not uncommon for the kids to hate the parent who's not there. And even if it's not that parent's fault, and even if that parent's doing everything they can to end that suffering and alienation, you know, the kids don't know. The kids don't know, and the kids certainly aren't being told. You know, nobody's telling the kids, hey, your dad's doing everything he can to get to see you. Your dad's working so hard to get to see you. Your dad's, you know, calling every day. Your dad's submitting paperwork. Your dad's submitting evidence to the court. Your dad's, you know, filing court dates. Your dad's, you know, interviewing lawyers. Your dad's meeting with, you know, online philanthropy groups that, you know, supposedly help alienated parents. You know, the kids don't know any of that, you know, and all that's true. I've been doing all that. I mean, that's been my #1 focus this entire time, and it's going to continue to be my #1 focus until they're old enough to have their own devices and reach out to me directly, or until one of these courts ends the madness and actually lets me be in my children's lives, or until the other party, you know, ends the madness and lets me be in my children's lives. I'm going to keep fighting. I'll never stop fighting, ever. I love you, Everett and Grace. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get over there for Christmas. It's Christmas time. There's the Christmas lights. And I call every single day. I go to the courthouse once a week, once every other week. I'm going down there all the time. And I just, you know, I don't know what else to say or do. I feel like I've done or said everything I can say or do, and I'm going to keep doing and saying everything I can do. But at this point, you know, it's been 6 months since I've seen you, and I, you know, I don't even want to get my hopes up. I'm going to fly to Hawaii. I got some gigs over there, so I'm going to fly there. I'm going to play the gigs. But at this point, you know, I don't know whether I'm going to get to see my kids. I just, you know, doing everything I can, and I love you, Everett, Grace. I'm sorry this happened to you.